Hello, folks. Welcome. And this is not Guy Kawasaki, by the way. We are not him. So I'm still hearing music.
So am I. Where is that coming from?
Hello, folks. You got somebody's got a. I think you have a browser open.
Oh, you know what? It's on my other computer. Sorry, everybody.
So if you guys are just joining us, what is going on is Guy Kawasaki was he is actually stuck somewhere in Hawaii, and so we got a message from him. By the way, I am Jeff C. and this is Peg Fitzpatrick. We are part of the Remarkable team. He is stuck, and so he said,
"That's live."
Yeah, he said, "Go live." So we are going live. So I see we have Gregory here. Thank you for stopping by. More people are coming in. So I'm glad LinkedIn worked because we started late. Thank you guys for tuning in. But yeah, Guy is, I don't know if he will make this broadcast or not. We're hoping that he's paying the waiter or something now. So Peg, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I was ready to be behind the camera, so here we are. I have a messy bun today. You never do that.
Yeah, me too. I have
whatever.
So, by the way, this show, this live stream is brought to you by our friends over at Restream. They are sponsored of this live show, and it's the way that we go live everywhere. So we're going live to YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter. What else did I forget? Facebook. They're all live, and they all allow us to pull the content in. So if you want to find out more about them, make sure you guys go to restream.io. Check them out. There's no way we could do this live show without them. So today's guest that's on the show is, it's kind of funny that we got to do this, Peg, because it was kind of, he's one of our favorites.
Okay, wait, we know something about this guest.
Yes.
It's not football, which was not really Jeff and my forte.
Right. Yes. This is Hugh Howie, and so if you had him on some shows before, so why don't you talk about him a little bit first, because I found him as an author. Yeah, I love his books, but you go ahead.
Yeah. So Hugh Howie is an amazing writer. It was his dream to write a book and to sail around the world. He loves sailing, and he actually captains the ship. He has worked on yacht crews. He's one of those people who he's done so many cool things. Right. Yeah. But writing was his big dream that he always wanted to write. And he has written some amazing independent books. He's self-published before he was traditionally published. And the really cool thing about Hugh is that he created this hybrid model, which didn't exist before he did it. So he wrote his book. He wrote actually just a short little novella and put it up on Amazon. He loves Amazon Kindle. And you just, you create the book 24 hours later, it's on Amazon, and he loves it. He really connects with his readers, and he loved that. And his little first book just started selling like crazy, like 1,000 copies a month, then 5,000, then it was like crazy. Right. So he was making great money. When you publish independently, you make a lot more. You make like 75 cents on a dollar, I think. Yeah. When you traditionally publish, you make like 30 cents, something like that. It's very, like, you make a lot more when you self-publish, but you also have to foot all the bill, all the marketing, like everything for that. And the cool thing about Hugh's books is they traveled by word of mouth. People just loved his stories. Big, and that's the best thing, right? When somebody likes a book and then they, you obviously share it with people. So I'm curious to know, has anybody that's watching, have you guys ever read any of Hugh's books? Wool is his big
first one. That was his first one, right? Yeah.
It was a novella, but then he added other stories to it, which created the first big volume. And then there's like a series, a Wool series.
Yeah, I've read them all.
Yeah.
By the way, he talks about this in the podcast, and you can find about the podcast at remarkablepeople.com. It's the one that just dropped this morning, so make sure if you haven't signed up for that and subscribed to Guy's podcast that you go to remarkablepeople.com and do that. And the cool thing is he talks about that it's becoming an Apple Plus series and kind of some of that stuff. Yeah, so that I'm super stoked about watching that. So let us know if you've read it.
Rebecca Ferguson is the star of that. She was in The Greatest Showman. She was Rebecca Lind, or Jenny Lind, the singer, and she was in Tom Cruise movie. Was it Tom Cruise? Was she in one of those?
I can't remember. But
She was
anyway,
in an action adventure movie that was like super popular too.
I'm just really excited to see it. And it sounds like they're doing a good job. I didn't. He talks about it in the podcast that it's been in development for quite a while. Some people who were attached to it, and then it kind of, it's kind of what you hear about Hollywood stuff. So that was kind of a fascinating kind of behind the scenes that they discuss in this
Yeah.
podcast too. So, like I said, go check that out if you haven't yet. I want to do. We were talking
I'm
about
gonna
how
see you.
this was sponsored by Restream, and Gregory says, oh, by the way, this is you can also go to all these different locations, which is Twitch, Rumble, Minds, BitChit, and so he says to get on them. So I guess we'll have to get on them. And Marina said this. She goes, I was trying to do my church stream, but it doesn't do the good quality like yours. So what I would do is I would talk to Restream directly and see about that. So Guy is coming on, so I'm going to see if I can add him, and I'll jump off, Peg, okay? So
Yeah.
here we go. Let me see if I can do this.
So everybody in the comments, who is your favorite writer? I'd love to know who your favorite writer is. What books are you always
there he is.
waiting for? Hey, look.
I can
It's
just...
Guy.
So I'm so
You're in a
embarrassed and
car.
apologize. So literally, I was sitting in this great coffee shop in Hawaii, thinking, "Oh, it's 6:45. I got 3 hours before I have to be online." Except that I'm in Hawaii and it's 15 minutes, not 3 hours and 15 minutes. So sorry.
Right. You should sign up for your text messages.
Yes. By the
Okay.
way,
Get a 15-minute warning. I'm going to
Well,
add your number.
Well, as a matter of fact, I went into subtext and I started answering all the ones, that are there. I thought, oh God, Guy, you are so on top of it. You're answering all the text messages. You got 3 more hours to start. And then I get the fateful, we're on in 2 minutes, Guy. And
I was giving you the benefit of the doubt. I'm like, oh, he's answering email. He'll definitely be on.
yeah, that's what Peg told me. I was like, he's not here yet. She goes, oh, he's at his computer. He'll be on in a little bit.
I was wrong. Well,
Anyway.
I was really wrong. I mean, it was 16 minutes instead of 2 minutes.
And now, oh, you know what? I can shut that behind me and make this a better.
Oh, he's leaving, just like in the real show.
This is the real show. So wait, did anybody say who their favorite authors are?
Oh, there was some, yeah. So, by the way, he talked about his text message group. You can text him at 1-831-609-0628. So, guys, you can do that as well. Let's see.
And then you'll get a text saying that we're going live in 15 minutes.
So,
James Michener. That's a good choice. He wrote Hawaii. Didn't he? He wrote one of the Hawaii. He wrote Hawaii. He writes really great travel novels.
Oh, now it looks like I'm in a cave.
Yep, you are in the dark.
David remembered us from the Google Plus days. Google Plus.
Yeah.
Thanks, David. It's good to see you.
Google Plus. I mean, I wish Google had not given up on Google Plus, right? They should have stuck it out.
I think they had to update their system because there was like data holes.
Yeah.
So now you look like John.
I'm in a room that either it's going to be really. Wait, I refuse to give up. 1 second.
Can't you just turn around so the light is facing you?
So he had said when we told him that Guy was stuck in Hawaii, he says, "Aloha from Hawaii. Maybe I'll spot Guy." Yes. So it'd be like, "Where's Waldo?" It'd be where's Guy? Yeah.
Go to the beach. You'll see him.
You'll see him surfing.
If you see him Wednesday at like 6:45, tell him to get to his computer immediately. Actually, next week he'll be home. I think next week he'll be home. So
yeah.
Okay.
That's good.
Okay,
so we were talking about who our favorite authors are. That was our question. Who's your favorite author, Guy?
Oh, my favorite. Oh, I'll get you the book. 1 second.
He told us last week he liked the Jack Reacher books, for fiction.
It depends on what it is.
Yeah,
we'll see. He definitely doesn't have one of his other favorite books unless he brought it with him. We'll see.
So, who's your favorite author, Peg?
That's a good question. My most recent. Oh, it's right. I can grab it. It's on the other side of my desk. I just read The Paper Palace by Miranda Cowley Heller, and it was freaking awesome. Like debut novel, so amazing. It was so good. I was like on my Instagram, somebody read this. I needed to discuss it with someone like right away. It was so good. So
Mm-hmm.
she's my new favorite author. Like I just finished that one. But I also like I have so many. I'm like I have so many favorites. Bridget Jones' Diary is one of my favorite books, so I do love Helen Fielding.
Mm-hmm.
How about you?
It depends on what I'm reading. So, like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to keep up with all the people on the podcast. I read
Yep.
the Humor Seriously book that he had. That was a really
Yep.
good one. Um,
I just finished She Said by Jodi Cantor and
oh
Megan
yeah,
Tooley, last week's guests.
that's really good.
Last
So,
week's guest.
who's your favorite guy? Who are you gonna show?
Gotta slide it over.
There.
Oh,
Dang.
okay.
Ah.
Daniel
Yeah,
Silver.
you like thriller, right?
Yeah, so Daniel Silver, his main character is a guy named Gabriel Alon, who is in charge of the Israelis. Is it Mossad or one of those Israeli agencies? And he's in charge of the agency, and he's an art restorer.
Hmm.
So it's all about Swiss money and Russian money and Israeli intelligence and assassinating people, and
Hmm.
that's the first chapter.
That's cool.
But we want to
Yeah.
know who your favorite authors are. We had a couple people put theirs in there. Let's see. This is so. David says, Ian Rankin, famous Scottish crime writer. I haven't read any of his. Very
That's my
Ah,
latest favorite. And the cover on it is amazing. You're never supposed to judge the book by the cover, but look at that cover. So good. So good. Anyway, so getting back to writers and who our favorite writers are, this week on the podcast, we have Hugh Howie, who
Oh,
is an
yeah.
amazing independent author. We started talking about him a little bit.
Well, yeah, I mean, the amazing thing about him is he was a bookstore clerk working at, I never know if I'm saying this right. Is it Appalachia? It's not Appalachia. I know that. It's Appalachia, right? So
I always say
Appalachia State.
Appalachian, ma'am. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I think Appalachia is wrong. That's like
Could be.
that's what liberal Democrats pronounce it as, but it's Appalachia. It's Appalachia, I think. Anyway, he was a bookstore clerk at Appalachia State University, and now, he wrote the first episode of Wool and started selling it for 99 cents with the Amazon self-publishing program Kindle, and the rest is history. So that's
Hmm.
just a great inspiration. When Peg and I were writing Ape, author, publisher, entrepreneur, the book about self-publishing, uh, he was a great inspiration for that book, right, Peg?
Yeah, and then we met him at the book fair in New York, which
Yeah.
was amazing. The book fair in New York is like, woo! If you want to talk good swag, you can't even carry the amount of free books that you got home. It took me so long to read all the books that I brought home from there. My husband was like, "Why do you keep getting books?" It was like my two daughters and I were like, "Books, books, books."
so
But
so
we did work with Amazon there, and we did a live Twitter chat. But Hugh was like he is so one of the things about him as a writer, he's very generous to other writers. He shares how he does it. He shares his processes, and he even shares his worlds. One of the cool things he innovated
Oh,
with
right.
Kindle is the Kindle worlds, which is he wrote Wool, and then he allows other people to take his world that he created and write their own fan fiction from it and publish it, which is very generous. Some writers are like, no
right.
way, but he's all about like open and free.
We should we should we should start fan nonfiction where they can just take take the principles of evangelism and expand upon it. How's that?
Right,
So
Yeah.
right.
Wool came out before you guys wrote Ape?
Yes.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because he was there promoting it.
I didn't think it was that old. Wow.
Yeah, it's been around for a while. Yeah, he was there promoting it because I actually got signed copies from him. I have a signed Wool
And,
here, and my girls met him and they thought he was awesome.
and now
He's
they're
just
making Apple
yep,
TV's making a movie, right?
yes.
Yeah.
which is
very
very
cool.
cool. So, and it's cool because you kind of talked about that process a little bit. Um, that it's been optioned a bunch of different times, but this is the
Yeah,
first
like
time that it's been picked up.
once.
So I guess somebody can option a book and pay like $50,000 to option it, and that kind of is a placeholder. Is that how that works, Guy? And then if they want to buy it,
Yeah.
it's however much.
Well, I think you auction off the rights, but the way it works is if you don't exercise the rights after a while, the rights revert back. And so
Right.
Ridley Scott, I
That's
think,
right.
had the rights the first time, and then they
Yep.
never made the movie, so he got the rights back. So that's a beautiful thing. You can just keep selling the rights.
Right. So you make the 50,000 or whatever it is, right? And then it goes
more
back
more
and
than
there's
50, yeah.
Well,
well, exactly.
and what he said in the podcast too was that because Ridley Scott was attached when it came back, it was
Hmm.
like, okay, this big guy, optioned this. Must be worth something, so it helped him, continue to keep the
Yeah,
ball rolling. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's very cool. The book that I was telling you, this one, The Paper Palace, she actually worked at oh, what network did she work at? I think she was at HBO. I'm not sure about that. But her book's already been optioned. Yeah, she was head of drama at HBO, and she
That's
worked
cool.
on like The Sopranos and Big Little Lies and like all these big shows. And her book was already optioned before it even was published.
Uh,
Well, this is the question we have too for our audience. That I mean, we know Peg and Guy have already had books in them, but any of you
Can you
guys
get
in the
them out?
audience, do you have a book in you? Have you always wanted to, write a book? Have you wanted to, publish your story? Would it be a fiction book? Would it be nonfiction? Do you guys? We want to know. Let us know down below wherever you're watching from if
Let us
you have
know
a
down
book in you.
below.
Yeah. See, I'm a poet. I should write poetry. So
And if you can get that book out of you, that's the key. Can
yes.
you get the book out if
So
it's in you?
So,
a,
how
a
did you
really
get it
large
out of you?
percent. I
Like,
just started writing. Actually, you want to know the biggest way that I was able to get the art of social media? Actually, it was the art and science of social media when I started it. Was that I worked on Ape. I worked on What the Plus with Guy, a book about Google Plus for all you Google Plusers. And then he worked on Ape, which was author, publisher, entrepreneur with Sean Welch. And I like worked behind the scenes on that. And there is a template that Sean created for creating your own book. And so obviously I learned so much from Guy. It's like a shortcut in how to write a book. First step one is you just work with Guy. You have to have your own idea, but having that template like in a Word document makes you feel like you're automatically like writing. So the first thing is that Guy always says, I'll just quote him even though he's right here, is to create an outline. That's how Guy likes to work. He likes an outline, and then you work from your outline and you can create your whole table of contents, and then it's just a matter of writing it. It's so
yeah,
easy.
just a matter of writing it.
It's
But
just a matter of writing it.
we interviewed for the podcast both Paul Theroux and Julie Cameron, and a lot of
Yes.
authors still write in longhand. They write in
Yeah,
longhand, and then somebody transforms it to digital, and then the editors get at it. So
that's crazy.
yeah, I don't. We work in Word, and a lot of people like
Hmm.
they go crazy when they hear we work in Word, and because there's like this anti-Word, anti-Microsoft line of reasoning. But
Right.
for me, Word has that view that is the outline view, so you can toggle between text and outline. And believe it or not, the process is we write it in Word, and then we export it into Adobe. What's it called? InDesign, right?
InDesign. Hmm.
Yeah. And so Adobe InDesign is looking for word styles. So every paragraph of a book we write has a word style attached to it. So if you wanted to change like the font of that particular heading, all of the headings change at once. And
Hmm.
so that is a beautiful, beautiful thing when you want to, make a lot of changes to the
Right.
format, font of that paragraph. By the way, one of the things we did in Hawaii is we had a lei making class for those of you who follow me. So this is one of the leis we made. So I'll just show it to you.
I
oh,
So,
always thought that leis were like only a necklace.
yeah.
See, I brought mine
well,
out for
until
Hawaii. going.
until 2 days ago, I thought that too, but I learned something. So
I
That's
like the
pretty cool.
fluffy crown better. Well,
you,
how long will that last? Can you drive that? Can you dry it?
it's getting dry already. So this is
Beautiful.
actually my son's girlfriend's one. I don't know where mine is.
Oh,
So yeah. So what do you think? New avatar, Peg? I mean,
yeah.
I think I would like to see Beth's. Did Beth make one?
I can go look for it. 1 second.
No, that's okay. You don't go get it. Don't go get it. I'm just saying I think Beth would be
Don't
amazing.
ask
Beth,
questions that make him leave.
sorry,
That we...
sorry, everybody go. We'll be
So a
right
couple
back.
of you guys had said on you about the book. They said from LA, do have an idea for quite some time, a nonfiction book. People are saying yes, they have a book inside of them. And so Charles says, I suck at writing, scares me to death. So
Yeah,
that is a big.
that writing can be scary.
So was your getting? Let's talk about getting that book out of you, Peg. How you wrote with Guy, but still, that's still a lot of like nerves. Like were you nervous to send your like stuff for the first time to let him look at, or how did that go?
Yeah, I mean the first thing, guys, not here. He'll just hear the story again. So the first thing is I came up with the idea for the art of social media, and I sent it to Guy, and he was like, "Yes, let's do that. That'll be amazing." But then, like a week later, Guy said, "You know what? I don't want to write a book about social media. That doesn't sound that interesting to me. There's too many." And I was like, all right, well, I still think I was like bummed for like a day. And then I was like, I'm going to do the whole thing. I'll just write it anyway. So then I kept going on it. And then the scary part was I did send it to Guy. And that's scary because Guy's are written like 14 books and he's a great
Right.
writer. So I sent it to Guy and then he was like, hey, this is really good. So then I was like, yes. So then he was like, let's work on it together and make it better. So I was like, cool. So it was, but still, it's the process of like, lots of people have ideas for books. The key is to really just you have to keep working at it. It's a lot of work. Like it's very hard, and you do have to like the one I was telling you by Miranda Cowley Heller. She said it was like in a desk. She was kind of working on it for like 6 years. She had like 6 different books that she was like juggling. She would just do it like sometimes in between work or things like that. Like it depends on if you're a person who's lucky enough just to be a writer that you don't have to have other work tasks. Otherwise, you have to like plan to write
Yeah.
around work. So,
That
yeah,
just being a writer, that describes about 0.00001% of writers, right?
right. It's Paul
Yeah.
Theroux and Hugh Howie
Yeah.
and Margaret
And Julie Cameron.
Yeah.
and Julia Cameron. Yeah.
So
That's
show
it.
your lay. Show off your. You went to go get
Oh.
some. Yeah.
Yeah, so these are more this is how it looks. I mean, it dries very quickly because
Yeah.
these were bright colors,
They're
a few
still
days
beautiful.
ago.
They're
Yeah.
so good.
That's fun. Fun.
So there was another question that so looking for inspirations to start the process of writing a book. So Guy, when you did your first book, first of all, why did you write your first book, and what did you use for inspiration to get started?
My first book was called The Macintosh Way, and at the time I was CEO of a company, and I was really unhappy in the role. I was not getting along with my co-founders. So writing The Macintosh Way was cathartic in the sense that I wrote a book about how I thought a company should work as opposed to how the company I was running was working. So that was cathartic. And, I thought that was the first and last book I'd ever write. The first book is kind of easy because you have all this pent up stuff in you to say. And by the time you're at the 14th or 15th book, one of the biggest challenges is, oh shit, I have to say something different. Otherwise, it's the same book. But then if you say something too different, then someone would point out, well, in book 12, you said this. In book 15, you said this. They conflict. Which is it? So you have to be consistent, but not identical. So it gets harder and harder. Now, I will tell you, I have an idea for my next book. If there is a next book, which I have said 14 times, this is my last book.
I think you said last week you weren't going to write another one, so this is new.
Yeah. So I think the book that's just sitting there I'll use the biology analogy correctly. It's the high hanging fruit, not the low hanging fruit, because the high hanging fruit, just so you know, is the fruit that is exposed to the sun and is the ripest. So when everybody says they're going after the low hanging fruit, they're actually being biologically wrong. That the low hanging fruit doesn't get sun and isn't ripe. But I digress. Anyway,
I thought that was because it was easiest to pick.
Yeah.
well, yeah, but it's also the greenest and the least desirable. So anyway, so the high hanging, hard to pick fruit um, is to write a book about the art of being remarkable or how to be remarkable, because I have now about 90 episodes of people telling me how to be remarkable, and I could just write the lessons that I've learned from the book.
Yep.
That would only, that's the logical thing to do.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then it's easy to make a speech about how to be remarkable, and that speech is widely applicable.
It also could be a Netflix series.
That's true.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves. So,
Hey, everything's turned into a Netflix series.
That's right.
Why not? I just watched Ronan Farrow's that's based on his podcast.
Yeah. Well, we know. See, Netflix series. We had Sid and what's
Shay Miguel.
Shay. Yeah. McGee.
Yep, McGee. Sorry, yes,
So,
McGee.
so they
And they got nominated for an Emmy. They're nominated for an Emmy. And then we had Dr. Sheila Nazarian, and she was of Skin Decisions, and she is also nominated for an Emmy.
Really?
And now we've got two who have gone to Apple Plus. We have Hugh is getting his on Apple Plus, and the travel writer,
Paul
Theroux. Yeah, Mosquito Coats.
Yep, that's there.
Yeah,
well, and then if we want to go back farther, we have Margaret Atwood, who's on Hulu with Handmaid's Tale.
That's right. That's right.
That's true. And we have two MacArthur Award winners, Stephen Wolfram and Angela Duckworth.
Yep.
What a great podcast. I mean,
yep.
Like I keep telling people, it's NPR without the pledge drive.
Don't say that anymore. Now we say every episode makes you a little more remarkable.
That's right.
So back to this week's podcast, though. If you guys want to write a book, and there was quite a few of you who did, you need to make sure that you listen to this episode with Hugh, because he shares a lot of great information. And also on his website, HughHowie.com, he has a lot of information on just like how to write. He's very generous with his information. And also you should get a copy of, I think I have it behind me somewhere, a copy of Ape, Author, Publisher, Entrepreneur by Mr. Kawasaki, because that is very helpful in writing a book.
Don't forget Sean Welch. He's co-author.
And Sean Welch, Mr. Sean Welch, co-author in Kansas.
Now you said, for those of you who believe you have a book in you, but the other market for Hugh Howie's book is those of you who want to sail around the world as your full-time job. Because that's what he also does, right? So if you have either of those two aspirations, listen to this episode.
If you just want to reach a dream, if you have a dream, it doesn't even matter what it is. I found just knowing that he had two very big dreams. Those are two very big, very separate goals to reach. Don't you think so? I mean, Guy, what would you say if you had to choose two goals that you wanted to ever do? What would you say they were?
It would be walk to the nose of my surfboard.
Yeah, you've been working on that one.
I've been working on that I've worked on it for 6 years, and it takes 4 steps to get to the nose. I can do 2. So I think it takes 3 years per step. So in another 6 years, I'll be able to walk to the nose of my surfboard.
Is it a confidence thing, or is it just that difficult to do?
What's the difference between those two things?
Well, I mean,
true. That's true. Can your kids do it?
Oh yeah. It's nothing. Yeah.
So they're young. When you're young, you don't care if you fall off the surfboard, because they'll just get right back up.
But I'm better at editing podcasts than my kids are.
True. Maybe. I mean, they haven't tried yet, but Jeff, what would you say? What's one thing that you would want? What's one goal you had, Jeff, that you have reached?
That I have reached? I'm on a show with Guy Kawasaki. I mean, how better is that? That's my goal right there. No, he was my first big guest though on my show. I remember that, and I was so nervous. And
I was?
Yeah, so Peg got you on my show way back on Google Plus, and the funny thing was is I had we were in the green room, and I had one of those plastic bottles from Walmart, and I went to start the show, and I knocked the bottle, and the whole bottom fell out, and all the water went into my crotch, and it was like, hey, we're live, and I'm on with Guy Kawasaki, and I was like surprised the entire time because I had ice water in my crotch the entire show. So
basically, I'm such a great guest. I made you literally pee in your pants.
That's right. Yes, exactly.
He says it was the water, but
yes,
I have that effect on men.
Yeah, so I wear Depends now every time because I never know when Guy will be on the show. So
he is funny. You never know.
You just got to make sure I know what time zone I'm in.
Yes.
That's right.
See, I trusted that you knew because you were emailing. I would have texted you sooner, but it was all good.
Well,
we started and we didn't lose the spot.
So I'm in. There's a company called Foodland in Hawaii, and they used to be like a middle of the road market. Nothing, certainly not a Whole Foods level kind of market or a Trader Joe's kind of market. And now they've just gone totally upscale. Like, I swear it's the best market I've been in. And the branch that I go to is much smaller, but still beautiful. But it's very weird because with their Wi-Fi, when I started coming there, you could receive email in your email clients, but you couldn't send because they were blocking ports. And now you cannot send or receive email using email clients on your Macintosh. So I either have to use a browser or now I tether off my own phone. But then if you think about it, going to a coffee shop to tether off your own phone kind of defeats the purpose, right? You might as well just stay at home. But
unless
so if anybody,
coffee, unless you want quiet and coffee, and then the coffee.
That's true. So if anybody out there works for Foodland IT, you need to fix your Wi-Fi because it's blocking ports. Okay.
They probably do that on purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah. So people don't sit there for hours like me.
Yeah. Maybe it's so people don't waste their life doing email. Maybe it's a Hawaiian thing. They don't want you to bother they don't want you to spend your quality coffee time sending email.
Maybe they want you to focus on your writing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I do have to bring up this comment from Tracy because she goes, it depends when Guy is on. Good one, Tracy. Good one.
Audience is bringing the jokes.
Yes.
Yep.
So, Hugh Howie, this week, if you have any interest in writing or, like Peg was saying, following your dream, I mean, this one was plus, he's just a cool guy. I mean, his Twitter feed is hilarious. Peg sent me one this morning. He's just a down-to-earth, cool guy. You wouldn't think he's this huge author, but he's just smart. The questions were great from Guy. So, I mean, you got to check this one out, and you can find that at remarkablepeople.com because it's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So and we have an even cooler one next, not cooler, but
not even cooler, but another cool one next week. So I'm excited about. I just finished editing.
Who is it? I forget. I'm in Hawaii, man.
It's Cody.
Yeah.
Oh, Cody Keenan. Yeah, so Cody Keenan used to be Barack Obama's speechwriter. I mean, can you imagine that? Mm-mm. Holy shit. Yeah.
That's a lot of pressure for getting your words right.
No shit. Yeah.
That was a great interview
that he sent. I'm sorry, go ahead.
That was just a great interview too, because the behind the scenes stuff and the way he's talking about, I mean, these two about writing that we just had kind of almost, serendipitously back to each other are just really, really good about, the best way to do this kind of stuff, the behind the scenes advice and tactics. And I mean, it's just really good.
That's a lot of pressure. Those speeches, though, like he's standing there. There's a picture, and like he's writing, and Barack is like standing next to him. I would just be sitting there going, "Oh my God, the president is waiting for me to write something." I'd be like, "Could you go like in your office and just let me?" I don't know if I could write under that much pressure.
My favorite picture is the one where he's sitting there and he has like a Chicago Cubs baseball hat on. No, not Barack. Cody. Right. Cody's like, I think Cody was there on a weekend and he didn't expect to see Barack or something like that, right? Mm-hmm. So we're obviously in Hawaii, And on Verbo now, you can rent the house in Kailua that the Obamas used to stay at.
Mm.
It's a mere 10 grand a day, but
Wow.
so
Yay!
I'm gonna try to rent it for an hour.
See if you can rent it for a photo shoot. I saw this cool thing that somebody made. This thing, it's kind of like Airbnb, but you can just rent it for photo shoots. So you don't
Oh
even rent it
yeah?
overnight or anything. So you can just rent people's houses and then just go do the photo shoot there.
Well,
That's
that's
And then
like
you,
an
great.
Instagram special, right?
Yeah.
yep,
Huh. I
Crazy.
hope it I hope it doesn't have any cliffs around it. Jeez.
yeah, that's not.
Like
There's
what do
always
you
those stories.
Yeah, I mean, some of those things are truly disturbing. I mean, people got to
Hmm.
be careful, man. Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
You just gotta
Wow.
fake the photo. You don't have to
Hang
stay
on the
close
cliff.
enough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
people die every year from that kind of stuff.
Yep.
That's why I only do food.
I did one at the Grand Canyon, but it was like a total fake. Like I was like over the edge, but not of the edge. It was like
Yeah, yeah,
there
yeah.
was a lot of other stuff there.
Ooh, this is a
Yeah.
great question. I want to bring this up from Jonathan. Is there a formula/template for organizing thoughts when writing that I can use on my remarkable tablet? That's a great question.
Oh.
Yes.
Uh,
There are many, many templates for the Remarkable tablets. You can, number one, make your own in Canva, which I like to do. You can make your own template and then you just save it as a PDF on your computer, drag it into your Remarkable app, and then voila, it's there. Or you can search on Creative Market and
Hmm.
Etsy. There's people that sell Remarkable templates, and there's also a lot right in the. Oh wait, mine's right here. Let me see if there's any writing specific. I just have my tablet right here. But there are a lot already built in too. So were you looking for an outline, like bullet points, or what in particular?
She just said a organizing thoughts. Guy, what do you use a specific
Yeah.
template when you're doing your interview for guests?
Uh, no, basically, I watch their videos, I read the articles about them, and I read their books, and I
Mm-hmm.
just write questions in Google Docs. So my procedure is I do the research, I'm writing questions as I go in Google Docs. And the
Mm-hmm.
reason why I put it in Google Docs is sometimes I share it with other people for them to comment on the questions. And then right before the interview begins, I print the Google Doc to PDF. I sync the PDF to the Remarkable tablet, and then I'm using the Remarkable tablet during the interview to organize the interview.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So there's in the Remarkable tablet, there's all kinds of there's like regular paper, there's lined paper, there's grid paper, there's checklists. There's also storyboards. So depending on what you're writing, there's a lot of formats already built in here. But if there's something you wanted in particular, like to organize a story or anything like that, you could create your own in Canva. Like I said, it's very easy to do that. Um, but there are some built in.
Yeah,
So.
I love the storyboards feature in the Remarkable tablet because I like to sketch
Mhm.
stuff out. Like when I'm doing like a animated opener for something, I can actually put the text
Hmm.
and kind of do it and see it visually first before I start opening up Photoshop or After Effects or something.
Mhm.
How often do you guys take it and then email it to get the OCR?
Never.
Yeah.
Once in a while, once in a
Yeah.
while. But my
So
Never
handwriting's so
email
bad,
it.
it might as well just type it.
Yeah, what we're talking about is you can take a Remarkable tablet document and email it usually to yourself. And you
Mhm.
can also select the option of having Remarkable OCR the text. So you get text, digital text, as opposed to just a static PDF.
Yeah, somebody
Mhm.
said that this was a good writing guide. I have not used it. Gregory says that Dr. Jordan Peterson has a good writing guide
Hmm.
that you can get.
Hmm.
So thanks for that, Gregory.
Cool.
All right, anything else before we sign off? Anything we want to talk about?
No,
Questions?
I thought this was going to begin in 2 hours from now. So I'm ahead.
And make sure that you sign up, and we'll make sure Guy has signed up for this to the his Ohana, that he'll get reminders that when we go live, because it goes out. What is it? Is it 5 or 10 minutes before the show goes live?
15.
15. So
You need to do it 3 hours before the.
15 minutes would have been good enough. Yeah. But
So I have one more question. Okay, one more question people can send in the comments, which is, I think that having the three of us on is a better format than just me on. So if send us the comments. Do you want the three of us on every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 7 a.m. Hawaiian, or do you want just Guy?
Did Jeff and I get to go to Hawaii next time?
that's right. We could all be together. That's what.
That's right.
Except for I think we're not traveling again, right? We're going to stop traveling and wear masks again.
Yeah. Oh my.
We could be like, hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. The three of us.
That's right.
That's funny.
Yeah.
All right.
It is always nice to bounce things off of other people. Then the pressure isn't all on you you don't feel like you're talking to yourself.
And once again, Tracy goes, depends on the topic.
Here, I'll show you.
Fire.
I'll show you Diamond Head here. Can you see the water?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Diamond Head.
Is that one of the best surfing places in the world?
If you're a good surfer, not if you're me. And
then listen,
the house we're staying in is next to this house.
Mm-hmm.
But this house doesn't have a pool, and I am just so tempted to just go over there and swim.
You should do it on the live
house
stream.
crashes.
So if you're busted,
Yeah.
do it on the live stream. So if you get busted, it'll be entertainment.
Yeah, we got to bail Guy out of jail in Hawaii. So
I might be late. I might be late for next week.
I think you're going to be. Aren't you going to be home next week?
Yeah. Coming to you live from Oahu State Prison, Guy Kawasaki.
Yikes.
Oh. So with that, we thank you guys for stopping by today. Thank you that Guy came to the show. I'm glad that you guys. Thank you for all your comments. And it's like, I think people are saying the three of us, but so we'll have to have an internal discussion. But do not forget. I mean, seriously, this is a great podcast. They're all great, but if you are interested in writing, this is the one that you guys need to check out. And tell your writing, if you know somebody who is like always wanted to write or need some inspiration, if they feel like they're stuck, this is the episode to send them. And something that would help Guy out, and he would love you to death, is that if you would give us a rating review over on Apple, that helps get the word out too. That would be very, very helpful for all of us. So we'd love if you guys would do that.
Like, seriously, what the hell? I mean, I think the last rating is like a month old. So how can that possibly be true?
Come on, people, review.
There was some issues with, there was some hiccups with, I saw with, and I can't remember what, there was some issues with some buggy stuff that was going on in Apple. So that may be why.
Yeah, think? Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah.
Well,
do that,
there's
please.
also the updates there was like an emergency update for Apple. If you have any Apple products, there was like, update your products because there was some way that hackers were getting in. So,
but that happens every week. What are you talking about? There's an emergency update to iOS.
Today there was a thing that said update your Apple stuff immediately.
Huh.
And also,
you see, we just can't end this show when you have three people. Like, if you're one person, you run out of stuff to say. We have three people. We just go on for hours.
Well, one thing I wanted, there's new recommendations for, especially if you're like sharing this to people who don't understand podcast, show them how to do that. And a lot of people hear the subscribe to a podcast and they think that it costs money. So like if you're wanting to like, hey, listen to this Hugh's episode. It's amazing. If you're a writer, tell them it's free. Subscribing does not mean they have to pay for anything. It's totally free. They can sign up. Explain that to them because podcasting is the only really thing where you say subscribe and it doesn't cost anything. So they're telling us to tell people to follow now. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
And then they should update that button as well.
I know, but you
But
know,
anyway, that's a whole other
that's a
topic.
whole other thing. So
And I want to publicly acknowledge the great work that Jeff and Peg do every freaking week. So
Oh, thank you.
I
Nice.
could not be here without them.
Literally today,
And
that is
so,
true.
and next week will be another great episode. You can depends on that.
Tracy.
Yes,
Tracy will be here next week bringing some new jokes.
that's right. So, with
Tracy was keeping the audience going. Woo, woo.
that's right. All right,
All
everybody.
right.
We will see you next time. I'm gonna hit.
Aloha.
Bye, everybody.
Hey there. We